Hey guys, King Bullet here, Your Majesty. So this is the fourth and final debate. This one didn't really have a conclusion at the end, so you can't really judge who won. The problems were that the judge had to leave and you only had 10 minutes near the end or something, so it got cut short. And the main problem being that half the time, Happy was just speaking over me. If you're here to find out if Kaguya's star level or large star level, then go and watch my first video with Happy. That was the initial debate, right? And within that, I literally proved that she is. Nothing new is in this video, other than Happy talking over me. However, it doesn't really take away too much from a debate. It's still quite interesting. It's the same topics and stuff. Recently, I've seen a hashtag going around, like hashtag let bullet speak or something. That's kind of funny, but yeah, it's a good debate. But yeah, as it stands, Kage is at least large star level. You could probably argue higher. I might actually do videos on that. Now I've established completely that she's star level. It gets kind of toxic at some points, but without further ado. Okay, well, I would just argue that, like, there's characters way above moon level. And that you could easily argue that they're like at least star level, or like above, or whatever. But all I need to prove is that they're above like moon level.
Moon plus.
Yeah, moon plus. All I need to do is prove that they're above that.
Okay, and then do I have to say anything else? Because I already stated. Oh, okay.
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 So no, it's his premise. So I'm guessing that he thinks she's moon level. Like, what moon level feats are you talking about, Happy?
Hagoromo, and because Kaguya and Hagoromo and Hamura all fought, they were relative to each other, and so that would put them at moon level. And then we've also got, actually, that's just for Naruto, so we don't need that one. That's not relevant. But yeah, that would be the best feat for Kaguya scaling.
Okay. Do you have a scan?
Hagoromo and Hamura.
Okay. Do you have a scans for this moon level?
So we know that Hagoromo and Hamura together fought Kaguya.
Okay.
So I can post that first. Hang on. So where we got this Naruto. And then wait, is this calcs? Yeah, this is in calcs, right? So this is the Hagoromo made the moon, so that would put him at moon level. And then you also wanted one for what was it? Hamura and what do you call it? Hagoromo fighting together.
Okay, so this feat here shows that like Hagoromo made the moon, right?
Yeah,
So
I'm just looking for the other one that has Naruto and trying to find that before I go on, because I don't want to establish just that it was the one.
Okay, just to establish, you think that Hagoromo made the moon, so he caps out about moon level based off this, right? Okay, my first problem with this would be that like Hagoromo's doing this while he's weakened, because look, it states right there, like in his final moments, and the state to happen after the state to actually happen after like his fight with Kaguya, directly after, because he's sealing her away, right?
Hang on, still haven't found this scan.
Well,
here we go. The one that I'm talking about, that it's actually Hagoromo and Hamura that fight Kaguya together, and this was re-established when Naruto and Sasuke fought Kaguya again. And this point is important because Kaguya was suppressed into when she was fighting Hagoromo and Hamura, into she lost to them. And the kind of the reason why, like for both Sasuke and Naruto, and for both Hagoromo and Hamura, is as she states, these two, they're Hagoromo and Hamura's, like they're like reincarnations of my two sons.
Okay, so let me just understand your argument, right? You're saying that like the Kaguya that fought Hagoromo and stuff is only moon level because Hagoromo only has like his feet, right? That's what you're saying.
Yep, but I'm saying that, but I'm going to add to what I haven't quite finished yet, is that both of them together defeated Kaguya because both of them were her children. Whereas if it was specifically just Hagoromo who beat Kaguya on her own, then it would directly scale to like whatever his best feat was. But the fact that it required both of them to defeat her, that would suggest that there's a little bit of difference in the power balance. So the fact that it required 2 people to beat Kaguya is why I state Kaguya as Moon Plus, and the fact that Hagoromo only managed to achieve, and it's arguable that it is a Moon level feat, if anything, because there's
Happy, can you repeat
two of them?
Like what you said, like, start from like just a minute ago. I missed that beginning part.
So Kaguya should be stronger than both Hagoromo and Hamura, and the reason for that is because
I understand that, but I asked you a question.
Is because there's 2 of them, and both of them together were able to defeat Kaguya.
Okay, no, you're saying you think.
And the thing with that is that even though both of them together defeated Kaguya, they would never have done so unless if they were her children, and so that further shows that their feat wasn't as amazing as it was. The same also applies to Hagoromo creating the moon, because he didn't create it alone. If he didn't have Hamura there, and if they didn't defeat Kaguya, they would never have been able to create the feat in itself.
I want to wrap this up.
You'd have to bring it down.
Okay, look, I'm just gonna quickly wrap this up, right? This feat was done while Hagoromo was like weakened. He's clearly stayed with like the last of it. What does it say?
No, this feat was done with the help of Hamura, so it doesn't wrap it up.
It was. They're both weakened, because it says in his final moment.
No,
right?
But so
with the last of his strength. Look, it says that right there. With the last of his strength, after they beat Kaguya, right? So they're both weakened, so it doesn't matter.
Can you prove that he could have done it without Hamura? Okay,
now, I just need to prove this.
Could he have? No. Can you answer the question? Okay. Would he have been able to do this feat without Hamura?
What? Would he be able to do?
Would he have been able to complete this feat? In other words, defeat Kaguya, defeat the 10 Tails, steal the 10 Tails, make it into a moon, all alone.
Oh, it doesn't matter. He's at least relative.
It does matter, because if he couldn't do it alone, then he's not relative.
Well, no, look, take, for example, if there's 2 people fighting against somebody, right?
He would have got steamrolled by Kaguya. That's my point.
Okay, no, but I'm just proving...
And he never would have been able to, with the last of his chakra, make the moon in the first place. So there wouldn't be a moon level feat if it wasn't for the fact that there was 2 of them.
Okay, you're gonna see where I'm going with this, because just because there's 2 people, right, or one person is taking on those 2 people, right, it doesn't mean you're not relative to them, because otherwise you'd get blitzed and one shot, right? But anyway, moving on to like what I want to get onto, right? Kaguya has better feats, right? She can literally create dimensions, right? And she can also...
No, we haven't established that.
Okay, this is the claim within this premise, right? And then I'm gonna use it to prove out why they're above like moon level. It's really easy. So this dimension...
Are you moving on from this point?
No, because I'm gonna address it, right? I'm gonna prove that why it's like some sort
of... how you address it.
I'm just gonna prove that this feat's not that valid, right? And I'm just gonna prove that this feat isn't that impressive, and it wasn't even done by full power Hagoromo or Hamura, right? So moving on to her dimension creation. Her dimensions have stars within them, right? We actually see them.
Can you prove that?
Well, we see. Do you want the scans why her dimensions have stars in them?
Can you prove that?
Can I prove what?
That she made those stars.
Yeah, I can prove that she made her dimensions.
Go ahead.
All right, okay.
No, you have to prove that those stars were a part of her dimensions. That was what I said.
What do you mean? What did you say?
Well, there's multiple evidence to suggest that the dimensions are only moon level in size, and I'll explain why later, but the point is that look. You'd have to prove that those stars are indeed part of her dimension. Just because the ninja world has stars in the sky doesn't mean that's part of that ninja world dimension. You have to prove that the solar system is part of that dimension. Okay.
You know what a dimension is? It's like this. We established this in our other debate, right? It's that expanding space, right?
Well, this is a new debate.
Okay, yes. Okay, well, now we'll talk about this.
So establish what you tried to establish.
Okay, yeah, I'll re-establish, yeah. So basically, pretty much, right? I'm gonna send the scans, right? She creates her dimensions, right? And the dimension is like a...
No, she doesn't.
Okay, but let me finish, right? Okay, now she weaves and creates all of these dimensions, right? And she also has the expanding truth-seeking orb that actually expands, right? And that expands and consumes and destroys the entire dimension, right? And it's complete and entire time-space. Now, when you say something like time-space, right, that encompasses the actual dimension because you're affecting its actual time-space, which is we talked about its width and the length and it's expanding and how it's expanding and stuff, right? And if it encompasses star and stuff, right, then destroying that dimension would be star level. And now the reason it scales to AP,
No,
right?
because they have to include the star in the dimension. If the dimension is not part of the star, or if the star is not a part of the dimension, that doesn't mean it's a star level feat. It'll just be destroying the dimension. And a perfect
What do you mean by
example that would debunk.
dimension?
Okay, let me because, well, if you want to go from the versus fandom, it actually explains that dimension does not interchange with anything else. It defaults back to pocket dimension. So unless if you can prove its size and that there's direct statements stating this is a solar system size dimension, or this is a planet, or unless if this is
because look, I'm not claiming
a moon,
it's a universe.
no,
I'm not claiming,
but you haven't let me finish my point. The point is that you have to within a work of fiction prove that dimension means something, because otherwise dimension could mean world, it could mean moon, it could mean solar system, it could mean universe, it could be multiverses, it could be an omniverse.
Yes, it could.
You
Right.
don't know.
Now, okay.
But you haven't established exactly what is in those dimensions based on statements from within the work of fiction itself, because that's what the fandom demands, that you prove the size of the dimension in order to claim the amount of AP. Otherwise, if you can't prove the dimension size, it says that you have to give her the attack potency based on her best feats. And I'm saying her best feat
and that is some of her best feats.
The dimension make her relative to moon level.
Okay, you said I need to define how big the dimension is, right? So the dimension is, we have to define what dimension is. By dimension, we mean like the expanding like space, right? It can be 3-dimensional or whatever, but it has length and width, right? And now we see, so it means like it consumes out what we see, right? And we see like the star within it, right? So it's at least star level. Or you could even claim it's even higher, but there's probably no need to do that.
All right, so this is directly from the official fandom, right? It says
I don't care about the fandom, dude. Like, why are you appealing to them? I just want to hear the argument. Where's the argument?
It's not an appeal. It's because like you're trying to tier her into star level, right? But it explains clearly, as of now, we do not consider higher dimensional constructs as being necessarily infinitely greater or lower dimensional equivalents until further context as to their nature and size is provided by a work of fiction. Okay, you have to prove from the story itself, like the manga. You haven't provided any scans.
If something was called a dimension, of what this is,
what scans have you provided in the work of fiction to prove the size of the dimension? Because from what you're saying, it could be anything. And then if you actually read the last sentence, it has to be either placed unknown or simply reasonably scale relative to their best feats. And that's why I said
that's exactly
her best feat is a moon level feat, therefore she's moon level plus.
That's not the best actual feat, because like expanding truth-seeking orb is going to consume.
Well, then show me, right? Show me what's her best feat then.
Okay,
prove it.
So she can create these dimensions, right?
No, she can't.
Okay, why can't she?
You haven't established that. You need to prove
let me send the scans.
You can't just say that she does these things.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to send the scans in. All you have to do is ask for the scans, and I'll fucking send it to you. If that's what you wanted, you should have said so.
I said it multiple times. Prove it. Show me the scans. And then you just kept talking and trying to change the...
No, but you never asked for them, right? You have to ask for them for me to provide the scans.
I did. Why do I keep asking to prove it from a work of fiction to that...
No, but you were talking about like explaining what the dimension is and stuff, right? You didn't ask for the... It's really easy, dude. If you want the fucking scans, right? Easy.
So I wanted 2 scans from you, okay? The first is that she created dimensions. I demanded that before. You can listen to the recording. The second, I demanded that you prove the size of dimensions within the work of fiction. I did. Why the fuck would I mention this then?
No, you literally like, oh well, prove it, right? But then you are also talking about like, oh, also like, then you brought up this thing about like, oh well.
Yeah. So prove it from the manga panels. Here I am asking for them. Now prove it.
Okay, look. We're here now, and I'm gonna send
not happy. Let Umbilla talk, because you did cut him off 3 times.
I just
where do you want me to send them? Do you want me to send them to like scans?
Me?
No, I'm gonna send it to scans.
You're just strawmanning me.
I'm not strawmanning you, right? You asked.
Yeah, you said that I didn't ask for the scans. I just fucking asked for the scans. Scan me the scans.
You asked for them now. You didn't ask for them prior. Dude, you didn't ask for them.
Okay, good. I'm glad that you agreed that I actually asked.
No, you asked now. And look, I'm gonna give them to you because you asked for them now.
You chose to ignore me. There's a difference.
I didn't choose to ignore you. I'm literally giving you the scans now.
Then hurry up and send them.
Okay, relax. Okay, I'm gonna send it to Calx. Okay, that's her being stated to actually create the dimensions. There's the star in the dimension. And...
Okay, so let's address the problem of actually creating dimensions. First of all, that's a name fallacy. You're relying on a title that says creating dimensions as she pleases, the divine power of the founder that awakened her eyes, right? There's multiple examples of the data books using name fallacies, hyperboles in the actual titles, and they have no correlation to the actual abilities. For example, No, it doesn't make sense, and I'll explain why.
This is not
If you
hyperbole.
read the actual panel, okay, listen to me. The Amano Minaka panel is explaining a teleportation jutsu. You read everything on that panel. Not once does it mention creation, except for in the title.
It's not. It's actually. I'll explain this about it.
And I'll even explain it again. That the actual title itself. This has been mistranslated. You said it yourself in the last debate that the fourth data book had never been translated. No, you did say that. You did say that. You said that the fourth data book had never been translated. Therefore, it should.
Remember, you can't use stuff from other debates. You only brought this up. And also, no, I didn't actually say that.
What? Not Dead Boy literally said anything that we talked about in the last one. We can bring it back up again. Anyway, the point is
I'm talking about the other debate, our initial debate. Not in this server. I'm
not talking about the first debate. I'm talking about the exact debate we just had before, and you talked about this being from the fourth data book is not translated, and it's a fan translation. So the point is that because it's a fan translation, we can look at. Therefore, it should be reasonable to look at the original.
Dude, you want the kanji?
And we can look at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, look, dude. So you want the kanji, right? Sorry, a fan translation, right? Okay, that's fine. I'll give it to you. You just need to ask for it. Let me see if I can find it. I should have.
I have it. I can send it.
Oh yeah, go ahead. I also have like other translations there as well, so that should be cool. Okay, I'll send it.
Yeah, you can send it. I'm just trying to find.
Oh, you find something. Alright, that's cool. I'll send it to Calcs. And this is going to become like a semantics issue, isn't it? But we'll see.
No, well.
Well, if it's
because if it's not supported by feats in the actual manga, the anime, then it's not a semantics. It's just a name title. Well, because that's like saying, like I said before, Kuruma destroying the world is a direct statement from the manga. I mean, the data books, but it's never actually proven within any of the feats within the show. Okay, and it's in the title in the same manner that it is. Here's another one. Temari is universal.
Wait, look,
so based off what you're suggesting is that the titles themselves are conclusive evidence to support claims, but we've never seen Temari using her fan to blow away the universe.
Okay. So what do you actually think the translation says, like the part about her creating her dimensions and she pleases?
Wait, I thought you were looking up you were explaining the kanji to me.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna explain the kanji to you. So the terminology actually used, like when she's actually creating it, is like weaving, creating. Does that make sense? I think we agreed on that.
No, that's not the kanji established.
What
is
the
kanji and what does it mean?
What does the kanji mean?
What was the kanji and what does it mean?
Okay. If you actually look at the bottom part, right, the bottom part used is like usually like a term within kanji used to like mean weaving and stuff, right? And so like weaving usually
that's not what
like,
the kanji means.
Okay, what does it mean then? I want to hear your interpretation of it.
So do you even know what kanji like means? Like the part that you're saying? Like do you even know where
it's about
it comes
threading.
from?
Yeah, we talked about it's about threading.
So what's the name of the kanji? What's it called? How do you say it in English?
I can't actually pronounce it, but it's right there. Wait.
So you don't know the kanji and you don't know the meaning. So therefore,
no, I do actually know the meaning. I just don't know how to fucking.
You're relying on a fan translation that you don't understand.
No, I do fucking understand it. I literally explained it.
Well, so then what's the word?
What do you think it means? What do you think it means?
What's the word that they used to explain create in the fan translated? Where did it come from? What's the word that they chose to use in the raw Japanese? Because it wasn't create.
I'll see if I can.
The word for creation is skuru.
No, but look,
right?
The actual term used is like weaving.
But they didn't use skuru.
Okay, so what did they use? What term did they use it?
That's what I'm like. You're the one that's claiming that this really does.
No, but you're claiming it doesn't mean creation, right? So wait.
So the kanji, I'll teach you what it actually means. It's sumugu, right? Which means, and in the top left, you might not be able to see it, it's a bit small. To spin, to make yarn, to spin.
To weave, create, produce. They're synonyms.
To assemble or to put together. So, and then the wording that they used, they didn't actually use dimension.
Oh no, but I proved that means dimension.
Remember? Means space.
Do you want to prove it again?
But you didn't prove what dimension means.
Okay, look, so we know that like it was actually compared. We know there's like actually this scan with the kanji, right? And it talks about like Kakashi's dimension. I mean, it talks about like Kaguya's dimension, and they compare them, and they talk about, and they use the same terminology as them. So them using the same terminology, calling the Kamui dimension a dimension, right? And then because we know the Biz.
Can you prove that?
Yeah, the Biz translates Kakashi.
Because I can prove it's the other way around.
Wait, what do you mean? What's the other way around?
That they don't use dimension
So they don't use dimension for what Kakashi's common way.
No. For Kaguya's ability, the Minaka panel, they never state that she created a dimension.
No, I'm gonna get one.
Ever.
So okay.
Using that in.
Okay, do we agree? Okay, do we agree that the term used
in the manga or
okay, do we agree that the term used means dimension in Naruto?
No.
Because usually they use that term, right? They use it to mean like
time
space. Make right. They compare it to like Kakashi's dimension and stuff, and they use the same terminology and stuff. Do you understand that? Look, I'll send you the scan.
So there's 2 points that I still want to have addressed. Is that one, you're relying on the title, and I've also proven that, for example, the Kurama sealed inside Naruto is a powerful force that could easily unleash the world. And then I've also shown this one here, for example.
You need to organize this, dude.
Tamari.
Okay, I'm gonna address this first then, because I don't want you like shotgunning, because it's weird. You kind of like bring up multiple points. So just because
the entire universe away.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait, and before we get continue, I didn't say anything about the fallacy count yet. But do any of y'all want a fallacy count or no?
I know. I'm asking Bullet.
I mean, as I'm asking, I never said anything.
Wait, have you been counting this whole time?
Well, we could start counting because the shotguns and stuff is getting out of hand.
Okay, starting from now.
And y'all call out y'all fallacy. So, and what do y'all want the limit to be?
I don't know. Like, what's the usual limit? I don't know. Like,
I think it's usually 3.
5.
It's usually 3. So I would like to call out this nominal fallacy. Okay,
now this is what I want to address, right? Okay, so what I'm going to use here, right, is like supporting evidence, because it's actually stated that like Momoshiki also fucking creates these dimensions as well, right? And also, this is like, just because he uses the title doesn't mean the title is like incorrect, right? Just because like one of the titles or like two of the titles or something are like hyperboles, right? Doesn't mean that this is like a hyperbole, right? Because you can still have like a title that is declarative, right? Because some of these like, what do you call it, titles, right? They have adjectives in them, and therefore they can be like kind of hyperbolic, because like what happens is with adjectives, right? They're used to describe a certain thing, and then it becomes really like flowery language. But in this case, if you actually look at the ability, right, that Kaguya does, right? You were saying something about, oh well, it's used to shift dimensions and stuff, right? There's also named, because we're talking about the name and stuff, and I said the name, it is not necessarily like a name fallacy, however. That like, you know, it's not actually related. You're saying that
my videos, but I haven't said that yet in this debate.
No, I think you did. You kind of claimed that like, oh, the creating dimension part isn't the same.
No,
as
you cut me off before I finished that.
What do you mean I cut you off? I don't think I did.
Explained the panel, because I was going to go read the whole panel.
Okay,
and
fine.
It has nothing to do with creating dimensions and everything to do with teleportation.
Okay, I might as well like address it, because like it's also creating dimensions, right? Now, what it shows is it has multiple properties, right? The actual ability, and the reason we know this is because like the actual name of the ability, right, is named after the god who literally creates dimensions, right? So this just shows, right, that it's like linked to the ability to do that, right? Because like you don't just use a name for like no reason, right? If it doesn't have any relevance or anything.
What?
So like now linking that back into like the other thing, right? Also, do you want me? I'll show you. I'll send you the scan for that. We'll see if I can. So this ability that Kaguya uses, right? Do you know like how a lot of these things have like law-based things, right? This is actually based off like the ability to create universe and stuff, but like it's to do with that creation and stuff.
No, it's not. Nothing on the panel besides the title explains that it's about creating dimensions. You still haven't explained how that works. If you read the panel itself, it literally only talks about teleportation.
It's not even like a title. It's like this text thing. It's like
it is a title, because look, the fierce tornado that blows the entire universe away. Same font, same format, and it's the same for the Kurama one.
That's more like,
it's not actually the title. It's just like a.
Okay, what do you mean by title?
It's a big explanation.
This is what I want to establish, right? So
if it was a true explanation, it would be backed up by the actual paragraphs in the statements, but instead it's just an irrelevant title. Yes, it does.
It doesn't,
because
if
the actual panel itself contradicts the title, then it's a good indication that it's not.
It's not, and I'll explain
an
why,
actual
because
fact.
like
Instead, it's a nominal fallacy.
It's not.
And I can prove why that is, but I'm letting you try prove.
Please elaborate. Why would it be a nominal fallacy or whatever?
Okay, so let's read through the actual panel. It's a technique that Kaguya, who owned the Rin Sharingan, uses. In an instant, she can move the world she's together with other people to a different dimension. Therefore, it's teleportation done.
No, because like, the title
with creation.
title,
Did it say creation? Did it say create?
Well, yeah, right there. The title actually said she's creating dimensions, right? And we
No.
looked at the
In
kanji.
the exact statement
doesn't
that I
need to.
read, did it
Okay,
say
look,
create?
this is
Yes,
what
it
I'm
does.
going- this is what
Because
I'm
then it would be a name fallacy.
It's not because it's not the name of the ability, right? The name would be the title.
And then these are the same scenes, right? In the picture, you can see her. This is the same scene from the manga, and guess what? She's not creating; she's teleporting. So,
No, but look,
the Rin Sharingan is proven in the manga and the panel to be a teleportation ability. It's got nothing to do with creation and everything to do with teleportation.
we wouldn't just put that there. It's a declarative statement, right? It's not like a title.
Well,
The title would be the actual name, right? No, but look, the name of the ability is completely different.
Why did they put Tamari as universal? Why did they put Tamari as universal then?
This is a hyperbole because I explained why. It actually uses
And so is thank you. You agree with me that it's a hyperbole?
No, I don't agree. Just because one thing's a hyperbole doesn't mean another thing's hyperbole.
You said it was a hyperbole. You said the title was a hyperbole.
Guys, that's a slippery slope fallacy, right? You're assuming A equals like Z, right? That doesn't inherit just because one thing in one case is
no, it's a nominal fallacy because you're relying on a title to like.
No, okay, look, we can just use a principle of consistency, right? Just because one thing is like, okay, look,
yeah, and it's consistently been shown to be a teleportation.
Okay, no, I'm talking about something else.
I can show you multiple instances.
Let me finish.
No.
So one thing, right? Just because one thing stated that doesn't mean the other so, right?
This is
now going back to the actual main topic, right? I'm talking about her actual ability, right? It's actually quite declarative. It's not a hyperbole. Like if we use a principle of consistency, right?
It is declarative in the actual.
Let's say if a manga had one.
Let Bullet finish.
Okay, if a manga had one inconsistency, right, you wouldn't claim the whole thing. Oh well, now it's like every single thing should be declared as like a hyperbole and stuff. Now the whole thing isn't valid, right? But that book would still be like valid. These titles will still be valid because they're declarative. Just because one thing states otherwise doesn't mean that's the case. That's a slippery slope fallacy. Now, creating dimensions, right? Like I said, you didn't let me finish. It's linked to the ability of creating dimensions and stuff because it's named after one of the gods in the actual folklore, right? Of Japanese folklore. Huh?
Can you prove that?
So by the way, y'all both have so each of y'all both have one fallacy, right?
Yeah, but fallacies can be debunked by facts, right? If you have evidence to support otherwise.
Yeah, like I'm saying that
it doesn't matter.
Saying his fallacy isn't like relevant because just because a name is said to be something, right, doesn't mean like it's a fallacy. He said something about the name.
I mean, Happy, you can tell him why you don't think you committed the fallacy.
Yeah, I haven't had time to dispute it because you said that I had to listen to Bullet.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So Well, of course, someone calls out a fallacy. You can defend yourself on that. I'm not saying that, but if we need to make an argument, you can just let him argue. But if you do think he wrongly called you out on a fallacy, you can like say something.
So, are we gonna let him finish first, or talk about what a slippery slope is?
You ask for a scan. You're like, oh well, why does the thing relate to?
We'll let the fallacy thing get out the way first. So just tell him why you don't think he committed it.
No, so can we just reestablish why I committed a slippery slope first, so I can then
go ahead
debunk it because I don't know what you called out specifically as to why I committed a slippery slope.
Okay. Oh, so you want me to explain why I said it was a slippery slope?
Yeah, because you said I committed a slippery slope, but you didn't really explain why.
I did that
from what I understood.
So I said that like it's a slippery slope fallacy because like not all titles are inherently hyperboles because some of them are declarative. Like if I said in the title or something like a boy threw a ball, that could be declarative. That doesn't necessarily have to be like hyperbole, right? And in most cases they aren't. A lot of the titles are just like quite declarative. There's only some that use that poetic language, like the Tamari thing.
Well, if anything, in my understanding of a slippery slope, right, it's a logical fallacy that occurs when someone without providing adequate evidence argues something, and I'm arguing that exact thing about you. You didn't provide evidence to support the title, therefore it's a nominal fallacy, and in double you can say it's a slippery slope because you've provided no evidence to support that this panel is a creation ability.
I will. That's why you didn't let me finish.
Everything that I did share
was
suggesting that it's teleporting. I showed evidence, and that would clear me from the fallacy. That was my defense against the fallacy.
I'll post a definition of slippery slope.
Where did you post it? In Calcs?
I just posted it. It's loading right now.
Oh, okay, cool. Logical case in law whereby so small. Yeah, okay. So he said by this small step, right? So the title, right, not being related to the thing, right, leads to like it being like not valid, and the reason for it not being valid, right, is that like, you know, just because one example shows that like it's, or like two, right? Examples show that it's hyperbole. It means that they all are. When there's multiple like statements, there's multiple like pages in actual like data book where the actual like the actual title page doesn't use hyperboles and it's quite declarative. In fact, it's actually usually declarative. And then I use the principle of consistency to back that up. See what he did there? He went from like, you know, assuming, well, look, if you have like a title, right, and it's shown to be like a hyperbole or whatever, right? Alongside,
but you haven't provided any evidence for any of that.
For what? What did I not provide an evidence?
To prove that I committed a fallacy.
I did.
In this way. Whereas I'm the opposite. I actually disproved it by showing that there's multiple panels that do
No, I'm saying your claim
problems.
Based off that, right? It's based off that, well, it's... you're assuming that this thing, right, here, that we have, it's like, it means... Because it's like a hyperbole or something. One of them is like hyperbole. It means they're all hyperboles and stuff. Right?
Yeah, but I'm also saying that the best way to prove that it's not just a name title is through feats and statements from the manga or the actual panel. No, I actually said that before. I'm not saying.
No, it doesn't matter if you said it before. You used that as an argument, though. You said the whole like.
No, but then if you're claiming that I only was talking about just the titles, that's wrong. I didn't say that. What I was saying was that the way that you prove that it's not a name fallacy is based on some of the feats or some of the statements
that's a
from
separate
other
thing.
players.
You want to defend your
and if it's consistent, as you said, then you're right. It would be a creating dimension Rinnegan thing, but it's never been shown in the anime or the manga that the Sharingan is the way that they created dimensions. It's not through the Rin Sharingan. If anything, it's been shown to create dimension. It's been shown to teleport, is what I was trying to debunk that with more evidence than what you've been showing.
Well, okay, that's what I wanted to get onto. So, I was saying it's a slippery slope fallacy because you wouldn't actually let me finish. You just used that, right? And then I was going to explain why that this thing wouldn't actually be a name fallacy or whatever, right? And the reason it wouldn't be is because this is exactly what I want to go on to, right? So the actual like ability of a title, that's not actually like a name. It's a declarative statement talking about the thing. It's like another part of the text almost, right? And the example you gave, this is all I was saying, right? The example you gave about the Tamari thing, if that's a case-by-case thing, that's something else completely. But that's more so a hyperbole because it uses like adjectives and stuff, and it uses the whole like poetic language about the universe and stuff. But in this case, there's no actual poetic like description or thing. It's literally just she creates dimensions as she pleases. And then obviously, then the divine power of the founder, that part, poetic. But that part, that's...
we didn't establish that it was creating dimensions. We know that it's a fan translation. It actually says assemble space. And that's consistent. That's consistent with the in panel. It says that it can move things between dimensions.
Because you were talking about the kanji. Did you end up sending that?
I did. You can read it.
Where did you send that?
Are you ignoring my scan?
I'm not ignoring it. Like, where is it in scans?
It's one of the scans. I can't explain which one. There's like heaps.
Oh, okay, wait. So if I go up, right? Oh, wait.
I highlighted all the different kanji that's relevant, and I even gave dictionary translations of each of them.
But I can't.
And I gave the readings.
Can't see the kanji like clearly though.
I can. If I can read it, you can read it.
No, I mean like the actual. Is it like a picture of a kanji or something like on its own?
Yes.
It's like what you. I think what
it's highlighted with green underline, and it's correlated to the dictionary definitions on the same panel.
Oh no, but do you know you've kind of like cut some of it out? Like, do you know the green part you've highlighted? There's like sub like kanji to that, isn't there? Like, do you know the thing that goes with the addition that we're talking about?
You can go grab the original panel and cross-reference this if you don't.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That you've actually blocked it out. So how do I know that's what it says though?
No, I haven't blocked it out. It's an underline.
No, but it's not transparent. I can't see through the actual like. Do you want me to send it to you guys?
What are you talking about? Are we talking about the same thing?
Do you know the kanji thing, right? Okay, look, I'll screenshot it and I'll send it.
The debate over.
Debate's not over. What? No, it literally just died. I think.
Oh, okay.
This is what I'm seeing, right? Is this a scan you're talking about?
Yeah.
Is that the scan you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, look, do you see it kind of blocks out the kanji on the side there? The part.
Yeah, but you can just bring up the other panel if you wanted to see the full thing.
Oh, wait.
But that's not relevant. That part, the whole left section,
yeah,
is not relevant.
All right. Okay, well, that's the part you were highlighting.
It's only the side on the right that's got anything to do with what we're talking about. What you specifically wanted to talk
No, I know,
about the
but-
word
yeah, that's what-
creating
okay,
dimension.
You highlight that.
I
That's what.
only shared this panel to highlight those 2 words. That's why I did that. You understand that, right?
No, that's the problem. I thought you were just highlighting that because that's what you were talking about, and I was about to
No,
say.
I'm highlighting it for you because you didn't even know where the kanji was or what they were. So I had to explain
No,
it
I
to
did.
you, and I had to
Oh.
highlight for you, and I had to provide a scan to prove
Okay.
your point.
Okay, look. Do you see what that kanji means there?
Kukan
Okay, Kukon, right? Now we established
means
that
space,
means
airspace, or
okay, but
room.
this is a term also used to define Kakashi's dimensions, right? Which is a space. The space would be in dimension anyway. If we're talking about semantics anyway. In this case.
Even
You
still,
know, it
it doesn't
encompasses
change the
space.
difference that it doesn't mean create.
Okay, no, but do you accept that part? And then I'll bring up the other kanji, right? You get that part, right?
No, you can try prove that.
Wait, oh, you want me to prove that? All right, okay. So
Sure,
I'll
you
prove
can
that, and
prove
then I'll
it
move
means
on.
dimension.
Okay, yeah. I'll prove that
But I'm
means
not,
dimension.
I'm
Then I'll move on to
I'm
the
just not,
spinning
I'm
or
just-
creating.
I'm not just going to give away 3 points.
Okay, yeah, I will. Okay, now I need to get another scan for the Kakashi thing.
Dead boy, did we end up establishing any fallacies or disproving them yet?
Pretty sure fallacy that you,
Okay.
and then
What? Wait, sorry, you cut out.
we established the first fallacy that you called on him earlier, right? And the slippery slope one, I'll just drop that for both of y'all. Like that one's, yeah, just to keep
Okay.
it fair.
Yeah, I think it was just because we hadn't heard each other's argument
Yeah.
fully yet.
Yeah, so it should be 0-0, right? Fallacy wise. Found it. Okay, I'm gonna send it to scans.
Counts,
So here-
counts,
yeah,
because I can't see scans.
Yeah, I haven't posted it. I said I'm gonna send it. Okay, use it the same term like Kukon and stuff. And we know that they also refer to Kakashi space as a dimension within the Viz and other translations. So like consistently Kukon in Naruto means dimension. And here's evidence for it, because it actually directly compares Kakashi's dimension and Kaguya's, if you actually read that. So you see where it says space.
This isn't a Viz translation. This is just
No,
a
no,
fan translation.
It's not. I'm not claiming it's a Viz translation. I'm saying that they use the same term like Kukon for both Kakashi and
In Viz, in the official.
Oh yeah, no, that's one. Yeah, they also use Kukon to explain Kakashi's dimension.
Where?
No, I'm saying when in this scan right here, right, they talk about Kakashi's dimension, but the actual kanji talks about Kakashi's dimensions. It says it's Kukon.
Can you prove that the
He's
kanji
Kukon.
means?
No, this is what I'm saying.
No, because
Kukon,
you
he's
like
based-
if you actually look at my evidence I presented, I posted the word for dimension, which is jigen.
No, but that's
It's
never.
not Kukon.
Is that used for Kakashi? Here, because look, they use it for Kakashi
No,
and
I'm
Kaguya.
saying that they
Yeah, you
haven't
can actually read the
written-
kanji. It says it.
No, this is a fan translation, so it doesn't necessarily mean it was translated correctly.
No, look, you can look at the kanji. They use Kukon for both Kakashi and they use it for Kaguya as well. I mean that Kakashi space, which would
Where?
mean dimension, then Kaguya's dimension. So they mean dimension by space, and plus space. I think it's a synonym. A synonym of space is dimension as well. Do you see it?
No. Well, because it's not from the original text.
No, I want you.
Like I'm talking about like the
yeah,
manga. Like
kanji.
where did they show that they translated it to mean
Do you want to
dimension
highlight it?
in the manga? See, well, I'll highlight this for you then. This word means dimension, right?
Okay.
Whereas the word that you're suggesting
they never
means
use it.
dimension.
But in Naruto, they never
You
use
said this one.
they never use the term dimension, but they just change it to the fucking Kukon.
Well, you know what they actually do say in the manga?
Kukon.
They
in
refer
fiction-
to Kukan as space. Do you want me to show you an example of when they said space instead of dimension?
What in
I'll
Naruto?
give you an example
In Naruto.
from the manga in Boruto, in Naruto Shippuden, correct?
No, because
That
I've
they
shown here that they
actually
use it for
translated.
Kakashi and
Hang
Kaguya.
on,
So it's-
they translated Kukan to mean space, and this was actually in the
That's what I'm
orb
saying.
panel.
Okay, it's a case. Okay.
No, but they didn't translate it to mean what you're claiming it to mean. See,
What
so
the
this
fuck
is
is that?
the English,
Background.
right? And it said it's the start of a time space, right? But anyways,
That might
it
be
says that it's the time of a new start of a new time space. So the word that they used was space. They
Oh, no,
didn't say
basically-
dimension. They said space. And
Okay,
so
now,
if you have a
this
look here,
means-
hang on.
Completely different, right?
If you look here, have a look.
Okay.
Guess what kanji they use there?
Space.
It says Kukan.
Does it say Kukon talking about her dimension?
I just realized I sent the screenshot of a friend. Anyways, that was the wrong one.
Oh, so you're saying
Alright.
that? So time space also means Kukon. That's what the scan says then. Surely that proves my point then, right?
No, I'm saying that Kukan means space, and it was translated to be space.
What's the kanji here saying? That she's gonna destroy her Kukan?
It says, hang on, I gotta zoom in. Aratana Kukan no hajimari da. So that means it's the start of a new space.
The start of a new space. So yeah, that just proves my point because it's related to the dimension, then, isn't it? Where does
But
it?
it didn't
where,
say
okay,
dimension, did it?
What you
Does it say that Kukan is dimension?
just dimension, right? Yeah, and that can perfectly consistently make sense because like look, Biz translate Kukan to space time. A space time
Means space. That they mistranslated the data books. They said it meant dimension. They said it was creating. But Viz didn't translate it to mean dimension. That means there's an inconsistency. That means it was translated wrong.
No,
that means you're relying on a mistranslation as from a title to prove that this panel is talking about creating a dimension when they clearly mistranslated it, and the panel itself is talking about teleportation.
Okay, wait, how is it mistranslated? Okay, all you've proven here, right, is it could be used for dimension or time space. Right?
No, I proved that it meant that it was space. You're trying to say that's a straw man.
What's a straw man?
That's a straw man argument. You told me that I was trying to prove that it's a dimension. I did not say that.
I didn't. Wait, no, I said.
I'm trying
you
to
misheard
prove
me. I didn't say that.
That
I didn't say
word
that.
was translated by Biz to mean space. Nothing else. No, you did. You just said
Okay,
that my space and dimension
because
is
it got translated as
interchangeable, and that's what I was saying.
Okay,
That's not
okay.
what I said.
But I'm saying
You
Biz
straw man
translated.
argument me.
No, I didn't. Biz translated as time and space, right? So you're saying it can also mean time and space and dimension. Is that what you're claiming? I was asking you.
No, I did not say that. No, not about the dimension part.
Okay.
I just said that
No,
Kukan means space, and that's what it was translated by Viz. Nothing more.
You need to prove that it refers to space. You didn't prove that. Remember your whole like.
I did.
Okay, look.
What
I
do you mean
said
I didn't. I literally showed you the kanji.
No,
I showed you the
you're
dictionary
lying.
definition.
Okay.
It says space, room, airspace. I showed you the kanji, and I showed you the English translation for both
Okay,
Viz
look.
and
No,
me.
that's okay. Look, dude. Okay, I'm gonna go over this starting from my scan, right? And then I'm gonna explain what's actually happened. So in my scan, what happened is they compare they compare Kakashi's Kukan, and then they also have like Kaguya's Kukan. Meaning they use the same terminology, right? And
So
we know
did
that
they
like
say that Kukan meant dimension is what I asked.
what? Kukan means
Where did
dimension.
it say?
Kukan can translate to.
When did they
It can
translate that?
translate-
Besides your fan translations, where in the manga did they officially translate it so we know that it's not a bad translation? We know that it's actually proper. Where does it say in the manga?
They use Kakashi's dimension. No, I'm saying this.
Did they say
Okay, in this
space,
time
or did they say
translation,
dimension?
they're saying Kakashi's Kukan, right? And we know that always gets translated to dimension, right? So you claiming okay, even if you claim it's a space, the space is still like a synonym of a dimension, if anything. It still like proves my point regardless.
It doesn't prove that it was creation at all.
Okay, now we're moving.
All this panel is
now we want to
pointing
talk about the
to
creation.
is that it's a teleportation ability, that it's a space that you can transport people from one space to another.
Okay, now we're moving on.
And that's all it says in the panel. No, we're not moving on. I was clarifying how that definition from the title actually does correlate with the panel, but it doesn't correlate with the panel when we use your definition. When you say create dimension, it doesn't fit with the context of the rest of the panel. But when you talk about it from assembling or shifting things from one dimension to another, that makes sense with the panel because it's talking about teleportation. It's a technique that Kaguya, who owns the Ring Sharingan, uses in an instant. She can move things from one world to another. So therefore, it's talking about teleportation. That's what was my whole point.
Okay, here's it. I'm gonna rebut this, right? So I'm saying it is actually related. It's not related to the thing, right? It's a separate thing. So they're talking about like two different abilities. It not only creates dimensions, but it allows you to shift, right? And we know this, right? Because like the actual thing is named after, right? Like I think we talked. I mentioned this briefly before. He talks about the god who created the actual universe. So where he originated from him, right? He was the originator, the creator of it, right? And now this isn't like a fucking name fallacy or anything because it's not a name. It's like a declarative statement on the side. Now, if you want to talk about the kanji, that's a different issue.
So where is this declarative statement?
It's on the side about her creating her dimensions. But do you want to talk about the kanji of that now?
Do you understand the panel first?
Yeah, I understand the panel, but I'm saying they're two separate things. I'm saying that like it can still be both, right? It doesn't inherently have to be fucking related.
Because because you're bringing up a new topic about this god who supposedly supports your statement, but you haven't provided
so you want like a
panels or
scan?
anything
Do you want
to
to scan
support
for that?
statement to prove that? Yes.
Okay, cool. I'll send it. It's about 10 now. I think you can search it yourself if you don't believe me. You might have to zoom in a bit.
Can you prove that it's actually got to do with real Buddhism, like that the author has accepted and acknowledged that it's based off this god?
No, but I'm saying, right, like, if you name something, like, yeah, I think it's like it actually uses, but if you actually look at the beginning part, right?
But does it state in the manga or any statements from the author himself stating that it's one for one the exact same thing?
No, it's actually quite a common thing, because like in Naruto and stuff, right, they use the same law from like this Buddhism, right? They actually use it.
But they
take
inspiration
Amino
and one for
Manakashi,
one are
right?
two different things.
What was that last
Taking
part?
inspiration from a source and then using that as a basis for a character doesn't make it exactly the same as the character. For example, Jiraiya was based on a Jiraiya who's also a real character in a real story.
Okay, I'm not saying it's
the same Jiraiya.
I'm not saying it's exactly the same. Otherwise,
So it's
it'll
not
be
the same.
No. Listen to my claim, right? I'm saying it's not exactly the same, because otherwise it'll be universal or whatever, right? But the claim is, if it is like based off it, right? Where the claim is actually going is that it's actually used for like creation, because it's based off this kind of like idea. So it would actually support it. It's like supporting evidence, right? I mean, it also goes hand in hand with the actual creation.
Do you have like a panel to support that they really did base it off this, and specifically speaking the creation aspect, or is it just the name that they borrowed? See, that's what I'm saying. The difference is that they've borrowed Jiraiya, for example, but they never actually used the same storyline from the real Jiraiya story. They just borrowed his name, and they've done that a lot in Naruto. They've stolen names from different characters. Sakura, for example, she literally means cherry blossom. Does that mean she is a cherry blossom?
Well, no, but I'm saying it's based off of, because like her hair actually is pink. So I'm not saying it's exactly the same, because I never claimed it was, right? I'm saying the basis of things can be similar. But even if you take Jiraiya stuff, that's the name of a person, right? Now, when you're talking about like abilities and stuff, like right now, Kishimoto is trying to be declarative. He's trying to be declarative now. He's not trying to give it like a random name or anything. You don't just randomly name anything when you come to abilities, right? Because the whole point of like abilities, right, is like to fulfill a certain function. A person's goal isn't to fulfill a certain function, right? So now he does this, right? He puts in like this law, especially with like abilities like the Susanoo and like the Izanami and the Amaterasu and stuff. Like it's based off this kind of law, and it has like similar properties and stuff. Like the Amaterasu, Look, they don't need to be exactly the same. I'm not claiming.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me finish. So here, the actual basis isn't that like, oh, he's actually the originator and creator of the universe and stuff, right? It's the basis of it, the basis of creating something, the first kami, the source of the universe, the source of something, meaning that the actual basis of this, right, is that she's creating things, right? And it actually goes hand in hand with the actual like translation there. Now, I think what you want to do is move on to the kanji.
No, I don't. I still actually want to tackle the exact same point. For example, Sakura means cherry blossom, doesn't make her a tree. Jiraiya is got to do with a completely different story. Doesn't mean that. There's multiple examples of the titles.
Okay, look, now I'm not talking about the names of people, right? And even then, they actually take like some inspiration and stuff. This is like an ability, right, in the data book, right? And you know they've named it like this certain thing to show that it has like, you know, a similar like property or something, right? Because when you talk about abilities and stuff, right, especially Kishimoto, it's consistent, and this is what I'm proving, right? When Kishimoto like brings up like other abilities, right, where he uses law, right, it usually has like the same like property as that, right? Like I explained with the whole Susanoo thing, the whole Amaterasu part, right? The whole like Izanami stuff, right? When you have like abilities based off law, usually they have similar properties, so like it's just a natural entailment, right? In this case, of course, it's
so. But you say that, but in proof of what you're saying, there is none.
What do you mean? There's
not from what you've established. You're just saying that Amaterasu is based off what, and you're saying that this is based off something else. But you haven't given any examples of that. You haven't proven
what do you mean?
That to be so.
Examples and stuff. I gave you that.
You said that Amaterasu is based off something.
Oh, you
like what?
You want me to say? Okay, look.
And then the same with everything. Izanagi and Izanami. You know, Izanagi is actually a god and it can be completely like that. That was the
No, it's like the properties.
the
The
two
whole thing
different.
is exactly the same. So look, I'll give you an example of like what like armor.
Yeah,
the
but
good with that.
that's what I'm also saying. I'm also saying it's not the same. Exactly the same.
Okay, it doesn't need to. Exactly
I'm saying
be
that
the same.
it's yeah, but you have to prove in the work of fiction that he meant it to be the same,
No, I'm not.
or
I'm
a
not claiming
statement
it's the same.
outside of the
I
fiction.
don't need to prove it's the same. I'm just
That-
saying it's based off this. So meaning it takes like properties of this. So this thing is right. It actually relates to the actual translation. So I'm using this as supporting evidence, right? And it would make more sense. It would make my argument more consistent, more coherent, right?
No.
Yes. Okay. Wait. What's wrong about that?
Well, for example, Sakura is based on his wife. That's a statement from the author stating that Sakura has.
Oh, obviously, something could have multiple.
to his wife.
Obviously, you can base
No,
things
what
off
I'm
multiple
saying
things.
is
I'm
you
just saying
haven't
this is one of
proven
the.
from statements from the author that that's true.
Wait, what?
What statements from the
Take the
author
whole
or in
aspect,
the work of fiction
Take the whole-
state that they meant it like this?
Yeah, that's it. Okay, look, that's what I've already explained, right? Like, if you take Vasuno, if you take the Amaterasu and stuff, like these things, right, and the law, right, this is the kind of law that like Ishimoto is inspired by, right? And it has the fucking same name or the similar name with the. I explained the whole like Minakashi thing, right? So you
Yeah,
can.
but it's not Amino Minakashi, it's Amino Minaka. There's a difference.
No, but
Can
that's
you
exactly what I'm
say the
saying.
same?
So the Amina Min part, right, is basing off that.
Bull was making a point. Let Bull finish.
That's the part that's inspired by it, right? It doesn't need to be exactly. I've established this like 10 times. The thing is, it actually goes hand in hand with it. It doesn't need to be like exactly the same. It's like it's supporting it. It's not my main premise.
Yeah, but the reason why your whole premise makes no sense, right, is because when you, I know that you got this from the Naruto fandom.
I don't think I did.
But no, well, okay,
You can
well, I'll
search it
show
up,
you that.
like,
Yeah, hold up. I'm gonna give you the full panel context, okay? It says that it's a heavenly ancestral god of the originating heart of the universe, a Japanese deity. Amino Minaka is not a deity; it's an
It doesn't
ability.
need to be, dude. It's actually based off it.
That already debunks what you said. Everything. It's got nothing to do with the original text or the original definition of what amino.
It does, and I can prove it because look, in the same statement you said, right? It uses the
Mina
thing, right?
Kanushi has nothing
It's
to
based
do
off that law.
with.
Otherwise, they wouldn't
like
have like these links with it. Like even if you look at the end of your scan, right?
Inspiration and one-for-one translation are two separates.
What?
Okay.
Sorry, repeat that last part. Yeah, so like in the scan you've actually sent, right? It actually proves that the law is like the same because like even the Koto part, right? Like you have at the end, that's related to like Sisui's ability, and like the thing is, a lot of it, Kishimoto did take inspiration from her because like, you actually see these abilities and stuff and the names of them. Now this thing in certain, right, uses the same like terminology here with the amino part, right? And the thing is, right, if it's an originator of a universe, right, it's creating something, like it's the creator and originator of a universe, and it's related to this ability. So all I'm saying is, if you go back to the scan, right, it can have two different properties. It doesn't inherently have to be like the same thing.
So show me.
And so it actually goes hand in hand with the
actual ability was proven to create a dimension. Show me in the manga, show me in the anime where this ability was not in fact a teleportation ability. Show me where it was proven to be a creation ability, because I've already established
it doesn't need to actually be
the
how would
manga
physically okay
that it is indeed only a teleportation ability, and that's all it's been proven to be. It's never been proven.
No.
She's never gone Amino Minaka, there's a dimension.
It does.
Can you show
Look,
me?
dude, it doesn't
It does matter, because otherwise it's just inspiration and got nothing to do with the actual ability
remember we
itself.
established in the last debate, like we
It's just a name. There's plenty of things
okay, look, I'm
that
not
with
just
names
basing it off that.
that they
The
don't
actual
actually
translation is
necessarily.
that-
It is a name title, and I've proven so with what I've established.
Oh, so now we're talking about the actual title. No, are we talking about the actual text thing from the actual data?
It's all interrelated. I said that the reason why it's a nominal fallacy is because you're relying on the name of a title to prove that this ability has a different function. But
No,
it's
it has a
completely
similar
different to
function.
what you're
Say,
saying.
look, it's
Just because it's the name is Amino
right in the title.
Minakushi doesn't necessarily mean it's creation.
What?
Just because it's the Amino Minaka and in name doesn't mean
No,
it's
I'm
an
saying
actual creation
it's
ability.
right.
The ability is explained in the panel,
Okay,
and it's
dude, let me finish.
described as
Let me
a
talk.
teleportation
So,
ability.
not only is it supporting,
Okay, I'll let you finish.
but also look, you have the actual like database statement talking about its creation stuff. So I'm saying it's supporting it. It's showing that it is the case and that it can be the case, and that it doesn't inherently have to be the same thing as what's shown on the side, because it can have multiple properties. One eye.
But then it's contradicted by the manga, which I shared. then it's contradicted
It
by
is
the
not
manga.
contradicting my
But the
just
panels
because like,
it is, because I showed the manga panels where they used that ability, but it wasn't to do with creation. It was just teleporting one person from one dimension
no,
to
because
another.
we can't see. How would you physically show somebody like creating a dimension, right? She could have
Because
created a dimension
see the
prior.
panel? Can you
But
see
for
the
contradiction
panel itself,
to
the Ame no Minaka
we
panel?
established for contradiction to be the
It's
case,
actually
right?
got
Something
them
else has to be
teleporting.
shown rather. Now, I'm not disagreeing that it's used for switching dimensions, but I'm
I
saying it can
have
also be
shown,
used for this
rather.
thing, this certain thing, and it's stated. Something can just be stated. It doesn't inherently have to be shown.
Statements don't
No,
mean anything without
No,
supporting
unless it's
evidence.
contradicted, right? Which is not. Like,
It is
look,
contradicted.
you can make a statement. Somebody could be, like I said before, somebody could be state star level, yet not show it. Yet that would be a canon feat. It's still valid.
Not if it's just the
Okay,
name of an ability.
now the thing is, right? You have all of this stuff right here, yeah, and then it goes hand in hand, right, with that expanding truth seeking and stuff,
It
and
doesn't.
destroying that, right, and creating dimensions that way and destroying them, or like the time space.
No, in fact, you've contradicted yourself with the exact same thing.
What?
It says that the orb is the start
No.
of a new time space, right?
Okay, now
It's not saying that they're in Sharingan. If anything, the panels that I've shared have proven that the orb, not Kaguya, not the Sharingan,
no,
is the thing responsible for creating space.
not inherently. It's like,
right?
look, she really
No,
the top
not
one.
inherently. It literally states that in
Okay,
the
I'm gonna address that, right? Okay, now it says a start of a new time space, yeah, and the reason it's stating it because it's gonna destroy whatever's there before, right? It doesn't say you inherently have to make something completely new, but the thing is, right, it says time space, so it doesn't necessarily have to have one property. It doesn't need to be restarting the whatever the dimension, right? It's actually destroying the time space of it, which is a completely different property, right? So erasing something's time space is just greater than destroying a space or creating a space.
What?
Because time space, right, is a completely different thing to the actual dimension, right? Like I'll give you an example. If you destroy the time space of like a universe, right, that would be considered low multiversal. But if you destroy that said universe, it would just be universal. It's a different property. Destroying something's time space.
So how's that related to anything? Are you moving on from that point? Is that what you're
No, I
suggesting?
was just rebutting that. So I was saying that it actually goes hand in hand.
No, so how is that a rebuttal though?
Rebuttal to what?
To the point that the Ame no Minaka
Yeah, what about that?
creates dimensions.
No, but I already addressed that. I said that like the actual, it says that it's creating dimension stuff. It's also based off the law and stuff. So because your only rebuttal is right, it's not shown or something. It doesn't.
The only
It doesn't.
only
Something
thing
could just be
that's
stated. It doesn't need to be shown. Especially in this case, because it would be difficult. How would you show somebody
But
creating
it's not a
dimension?
statement.
Why?
It's just a
Okay,
title.
why would you just create a like dimension for no reason? You have to have actual like
Well,
reason.
here's an example that I gave before. I already established this. Tamari can blow away the universe. Do we ever see that by feats in
Okay,
the
now
anime?
this is what I want to address. This is why I was saying it was like a separate slope or whatever.
And it's the same with the
Just because one-
Kurama.
okay, just look at one or two statements, right?
Let Bella address the point. Go ahead.
Okay, just with one or two statements, right, shows that like it's a hyperbole or something. But that's a case by case thing. You don't assume that every single like title, right? I wouldn't assume that every
That's why
single
I'm
like
breaking it
that
down.
section of it would be a hyperbole or something, right? Or poetic and stuff, because it's clearly like declarative. Apart from our last part about the divine user, right? It's declarative. It's like if somebody says a boy like kicks a ball or something, right? It's not usually like poetic language or anything. And then where I'm going with this, right, is like if you use the principle of consistency, right? You wouldn't say, oh well, there's one or two like contradictions in the data book, right? So you wouldn't say one or two things shows that like, oh look, it's not like consistent or it's hyperbole or whatever. You wouldn't assume that they all are, and that's what I was trying to say with the whole like slippery slope fallacy. And I'm saying it can be a different thing. It doesn't need to be related to like the whole like main text there. That can still be like it can still have two properties. Nothing states that it can't have two properties, so it's not a contradiction.
From the manga though, there are direct contradictions.
Okay, like
and I've proven that there are examples where there was something that supposedly started a new space, but it wasn't Kaguya and it wasn't the
I
Rin
rebutted
Sharingan.
that. But I rebutted it.
Whereas you
Remember
still
what I
haven't
said?
shown that the Rin Sharingan has been proven to create dimensions.
Look,
And that was my
that it does.
the whole
And I'm saying the expanding truth seeking orb has a different property. It's affecting the time space rather than just affecting the actual
but it's
space,
also
which is
stated
three
that it's
dimensional.
actually the orb that creates it. Because okay,
But
I'll
actually
rebuttal
time and
this in a
space,
different way
like-
then, and I'm going to do a different point altogether. Okay, but it will be relevant. It took a millennium for Kaguya to prepare enough chakra, enough
No,
the infinite Tsukiyomi, from the time that she ate the first chakra fruit all the way up to actually
Now
using
we're on
this
to a
orb.
different point.
Just to use the orb. No, it's the same point. it took her all this time, like thousands of years of prep time, to be able to achieve this orb, which is supposedly going to create a new time space.
Okay,
right?
look,
She went through all this effort in order to get an infinite Tsukuyomi, the moon, and even in this panel itself, it states that you need sacrifices to use the orb.
Okay, look.
So you need all these requisites, right? You need sacrifices. You need to sacrifice the shinobi. You need the Tsukuyomi. You need a moon. You need thousands of years of prep time to make sure that you've got like perfect timing and everything, or 1,000 years, millennium. Anyways, and you're saying that despite that's the whole story, that it makes sense for her to just make dimensions from nothing without any chakra help or without anything. That just contradicts everything that she had to do in order to achieve that other ability.
Now if you take the expanding truth-seeking orb, right, it's the thing she uses to regain her past chakra. I can actually prove it. It's stated in like Virtual Data Book, right? What she does is she was actually the originator of chakra. I think this is even established in the manga, so there's actually no need to even get the data book, right? But all of his chakra like originally belonged to her, so she had to contain all of that chakra. And we've seen what happens, right? So if this chakra can expand,
it was stated that she was the first to obtain
whole dimension and destroys time space, right? That she would have to contain this kind of chakra, and we know this because Madara, when he tries to initially even take like a portion of Kaguya's like chakra, he's about to explode. It's like stated by like Sasuke, he can't contain this. He's about to explode, so it has to scale to durability. And when you're producing some sort of KE, right, it would have to scale to your durability, right? And that's why it's stated that, like, you know, her stats went up.
Did you say that Madara... hang on. You said something that I wanted to clarify. Okay. Did you say that Madara was able to use the what ability?
No, I said Madara was going to explode through just taking, like, Kaguya's chakra.
Yeah, that I assumed that meant...
So you have to contain... you have to contain all of his chakra. I'm just making the premise, right, that if you can produce a certain amount of chakra, you need to be able to contain that amount of chakra.
Yes, okay, I get what you're saying now.
And it was all her chakra originally. She contained this within her for years. Because she's the one who gave the world chakra. Do you want scans for that?
Yep.
Okay, so like all of the chakra was originally hers once she had...
She didn't give...
Once she had eaten the fruit. So, and then like what happened is that like Hagoromo and Hama took like a portion and stuff. And then they shared it amongst like...
Hagoromo was the one who shared chakra through Ninshu.
Yeah. So wait, I'll get the scans.
That doesn't mean that the chakra was hers to start with.
Wait. Oh, no, okay, I'm going to rebut that as well, but just let me quickly get the scans first. These go together, by the way.
Yep, and so in the first one, it says, we stole chakra from the divine tree. There you go. It wasn't hers, it was the divine tree.
No, but the divine tree chakra, she made it her chakra. She ate the chakra.
But do you know where the divine tree came from?
Huh? It doesn't matter, because look, if you...
No, it does, because that means that the source of her energy is not from her, it's from the tree.
Take Moro from like Dragon Ball, right? He takes like energy from other sources. Like, characters do this all the time, but right, if they get like another form, right? Then they can't, that's a form, you just use their pinnacle form, right? That's the form I'm using, the strongest version of Kaguya. Which is like a form.
It depends
because look, she permanently made it her power, and I can prove she permanently made it her power, right? She ate the fruit, right? And then for years, right, she lived, right? She had kids and stuff and was able to contain all of his chakra. So she made it hers. It's not like it was temporary and she was going to lose it. So there we go.
Okay, so you didn't rebuttal the point.
Okay, what was the point did you make?
That it actually came from the tree.
Okay, it doesn't matter if it came from a tree. She made a chakra fruit.
That you shared. Okay,
look, she drained all the chakra from the world, ate it, and made it hers. Hence, like she refers to all chakra as hers because it was nature energy, essentially. It was nature energy like originally, and she converted it into like chakra by the actual Shinju to make it fruit.
The tree did.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Look, she planted the tree, absorbed it, right, and it made a fruit. She ate the fruit and made that chakra hers.
So without the tree, she couldn't have eaten the fruit.
Yeah, sure, but she did eat.
Because she would have had nothing to absorb.
Okay, but that's like saying if Naruto wasn't blah 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 blah. Naruto wasn't the incarnation of Ashura. It doesn't matter.
No, it's not like saying that at all. It's completely different.
Made it her power.
No, your point is that she's the one that gave chakra to everyone. However, in the exact panel you sent me, which is the one above, no, don't cut me off, is that it says that chakra was given to, through the tree.
No, but the chakra wasn't given through a tree. What happened was, right, because
but that's what it says in the panel.
What does it say on the panel? No, what she did was, right, the actual tree made a chakra fruit, right? So it produced that chakra.
In the panel that you shared me, 156, you're ignoring everything I just said.
What are you saying?
Chakra first originated with this divine tree.
No, but she ate... No.
Chakra came from the tree, not from Kaguya. Okay, look. You're proving my point.
No, I'm saying she claims that the chakra is hers. She doesn't need to have like originated it. For example, you can have raw materials, right? Process it, right? And that processed thing, right, like a pencil or something, it could still be your pencil. You don't need to have made it. Like you don't need to have physically made it yourself. If that makes sense. But she made it hers because she permanently kept all of his power. That's where the claim is coming from, and that's what I'm saying is her power. I said you could process like raw material or make something, and that can still become yours, like a sword, and that would be a part of your arsenal, right? But it doesn't mean like the sword that you inherently forged or made like out of nothingness.
Wait, so you're trying to say that because she got it from a different source and then made it her
Yeah,
own?
it doesn't matter where she got it from. It becomes her power because she like I said, for years she was able to contain this power. Like she can actually use it in battle.
Because the power is not infinite. It does not last.
I'm not saying it's
and
infinite.
that's been proven multiple times.
But what do you mean?
It's
not temporary. It's her power.
Can you not come here?
Okay.
Is that it is temporary.
Okay,
Because
temporary.
without actually having trees and then eating the fruit of the trees, they don't stay permanent. They don't keep that energy.
No, wait, they do. She literally kept all of that energy. Afterwards, after she
until
consumed that
uses
fruit,
it,
right?
And then she can never. Then she has nothing left because in episode 460, you literally see her arrive after supposedly having power, and then she has none.
No, she
has
lost
bare
all of that
bows and
chakra. Do you know
arrows.
why she lost all of that chakra? Because Hagoromo took it
So
from her.
it isn't. It is temporary then.
No, because Hagoromo physically took her from. So, for example, you can have a character who has a certain AP or something, right?
How can Hagoromo
And
take
you can
the
still,
chakra
like,
from her if she never
take
had it
Bleach,
to start
right?
with?
When you like remove people's like arms and stuff, right? They become like massively weaker and stuff. So like you can steal somebody, you can do things, you can take their power and stuff, but it still means it's their power. It doesn't mean it's not like she can't control this power. She loses his power because like it's not like.
Can you prove that Hagoromo took her chakra before arriving to Earth?
What do you mean reviving her? I'm saying after he beat her,
Ninja
he sealed her and then he used
No,
her
I'm
chakra to
talking
make the Biju.
about the very episode. Okay, my statement, which you completely ignored.
What was your
Episode
statement?
460, right? Episode 460, she lands for the first time
Oh, okay.
on a chakra.
Oh, you're talking about that one pillar?
Right?
First arrives that pillar, right?
It's actually mixed canon.
All right.
So it's actually based off. It is canon, and the most important principles that are canon is the fact that she obtained chakra from the tree, but prior to doing that, she was powerless.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Like, let's say like you're a weak, really weak. Okay.
Because before that, we also know that she fought other people, and that she couldn't have done that with the abilities that she had in the filler. In the filler, she had none. It wasn't until she ate the fruit that she gained power.
Okay.
This
Okay.
proves
Not only
that she
not only is that
actually,
pillar like massively
a
contradicted,
temporary-
but I'm about.
she needs but even in the panels I shared before about them being a parasite, it proves that
It doesn't
they
matter.
need to consistently be devouring.
Look, you can still be a
planets to
parasite and you can
maintain
steal
their power.
somebody's power to have it like get another form or something, right?
But it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be permanent.
It is,
You'd have to prove that it's permanent.
No, because
but
it doesn't actually.
I'm showing you multiple different examples of them losing it. Momoshiki, when he was fighting,
Yeah.
was losing and losing until he ate Kinshiki.
Okay,
We
look.
already established this before.
Yes, and that
And that's how he got
So when he-
enough
right.
power to use his powers again.
The thing is, look, he fused to have another form. That was his AP. He still look. When I claim something like becomes your AP, right? It just means you can use it within like your other like statistics. Maybe your striking potency becomes relative. Maybe like your actual like other stats, like your durability become relative. Things like that. So that's what I mean by like it becoming relative. Because she needs to be able to display this kind of power, right? In a natural like battle, and I'll explain why.
Anytime, right? And she needs to be able to display it anytime, right?
What? What do you mean at any time?
She needs to be able to display that level of power at
No, I
any
just
given time
prove that
she
it's
wants
still-
to be able to scale from.
Okay. I just need to prove that it scales to her AP, and that's what I was doing with the whole durability. If you can't contain it, right?
But it doesn't scale to it if she can't use it every time she wants
I'll
to use
prove
it. Like I
I'll
said,
prove why she can, right? And this is like talking about like Kaguya once she's like regained all of her chakra and stuff, right? She needs to be able to physically contain all this chakra, and if it can, it relates to her durability. And also, you can take Newton's third law, right? If you produce a certain amount of KE or kinetic energy, right? There's always going to be like a counterforce, right? And you're going to have to like
appeal to reality.
Okay, and usually that's the reason it scales to her durability. And there's other
We
ways to
don't know
prove it
that
as
they
well
actually
through her
apply
actual
Newton's
one
third
punches
law.
surpassing her actual creation patterns, right? And if this happens, right, then it scales to not only her durability, but her like actual striking potency and stuff, right? And also, if characters can harm her durability, right, then they have similar AP, right? And then she can swap hands with them, etc. And that's how it kind of just links back in and scales. And I'm not claiming that they're superior to expanding to a particular orb, only that they would be relative to this kind of chakra. And most of the time, like, Kagi is actually running out of chakra and she needs to refuel herself. Zetsu actually
So
states
it is temporary and she is running out, and therefore it's not
No.
permanent.
That's not what I'm saying. Just because you're running lower.
No, you literally just said that. You said that
Okay.
she's running out of chakra.
No, but I didn't say depleting all of your chakra or anything. Because you can sometimes lose a little bit of chakra, but that doesn't affect like your stats entirely, right?
But you said that she ran out of
Anything,
chakra.
no, I didn't say she'd run out of chakra. I said that she's running her chakra lower, right? And this is kind of proven because she's kind of getting like slower or something. But that happens to Naruto characters all the time. That doesn't mean it inherently like puts your stats down or anything. I'm just saying, all I'm proving, right, is if your chakra is a certain level and your body can
regenerate their chakra,
and your body can contain it, then your durability scales to that.
Like Naruto naturally regenerates his chakra, and so does all these other characters. But we've never seen in Asutsuki. They always seem to be.
No, they do this. They do this to update their genetic, the genetic DNA and stuff, right?
Not just to do that. It actually states that they their sole purpose is to drain planets
and also
their life.
Sometimes they don't even give it to them.
Energy.
A lot of the times they have to give this like chakra to the clan. Right, because it's like Urashiki in like the anime was like, oh well, Kaguya hadn't delivered the chakra to the clan, right? And what I'm saying, they use this, usually they eat the fruit to update the actual genetic body and like the actual physical body, right? To get higher dojutsu and stuff and higher forms and stuff, right?
Can you prove that's the sole reason?
No, I'm not. I'm saying this. I give you 2 reasons. I'm just saying there's multiple reasons.
Well, I think that there's other reasons. It's not just to update their DNA. Some of the other reasons, like in this panel that I've already shared before, it states that they are alien parasites. Their sole purpose is to devour planets.
What does it say? Where does it say sole reason? You just wait. So before you said there's multiple reasons, now you're saying this is the only reason? I'm just saying there's multiple reasons. It doesn't necessarily have to be.
No. What I'm saying is that they have but one goal: to devour the life of a planet. Why would they say that? Unless if it meant something to them.
Okay, so they need to drain the chakra of the world, but like I said, there's multiple uses for that. They could use it to update their actual biology. They could use it to give it some to their clan. They could use it to like achieve higher dojutsu, etc. So it depends. I'm saying it doesn't inherently mean they need it for like some certain reason, like what you just said. There isn't one sole reason.
It also talks about the fact that the tree itself drains the entire life of the planet. The divine tree in the ground, as it says here, sucks the chakra from all life. So, as we know, Kaguya actually had an interest in a person and got pregnant, and that's how she had Hagoromo and Hamura. It's relevant because she didn't necessarily want to eat the fruit that time. She was happy to stay at her power level. Which was basically she had no power at that time. It wasn't until people started being a little bit sketchy and then tried to kill her that she decided out of panic to go eat a fruit and then regain the chakra that she needed to be able to use abilities. And we see this with Momoshiki. He's fighting. He's not doing so well. So then he
I'm not going to let this
fruit
I'm not going to let this
in order to maintain the chakra that's necessary. No, it's not a tangent. It's all related because I was saying that as well. In order to use the orb, they had to sacrifice all the shinobi on the planet, as it states in the orb.
No, she was just regaining her power.
To use the orb ability.
And then she wanted
Why would she need to do that if she could do that from permanent chakra pools that you stated to be permanent?
No, I'm saying when she fought Hagoromo had to take it to split it and make the Biju, remember? It was still her power, it still scaled to her AP and stuff beforehand. And I proved that with the whole durability thing and harm people who can harm her and then her like clashing with them. So it would all have to be relative.
It doesn't scale to the orb though at all.
Why would it not scale to the orb? Because she needs to contain. Remember, the orb is actually containing all of her chakra, and she at one point had to contain all of her chakra. Meaning that like her durability would have to scale. Because I proved with Madra and stuff. If your body can't handle the chakra, it just explodes. And also, I explained right, if using Newton's third law, right, if you can like contain this energy and project it right in any way, shape, or form, right, then there would have to be like a counterforce and stuff, and your durability would have to relate regardless. And I even proved it with like I can even prove it with the whole like, remember with the chakra hands and stuff, and that being one of her most strongest attacks. And if that has the potential to be her strongest attack, meaning that she can use it, right, it would have to scale to her like striking potency and stuff.
Yeah, but the striking air attack has not been proven to be universal or
No,
anything
it's
like
to have
that. It
potential.
hasn't been proven to be star level or stated or proven by feats. Whereas this orb has been proven.
Look, like I said,
we don't even know the extent of
you
it
can
because it
go
was
off
never
statements.
successfully
It's
used.
not contradicted, right? You can go off statements. That's completely
Yeah,
fine.
but with the tiering system, it said
I
that
don't care about
if it never.
thing. Wait, are you using that versus wiki or
Well,
something?
then, so
Are you talking about versus
like
wiki's like
for
definition?
being able to scale, whether it scales or not, if it's a feat that has not been proven, the extent of the damage, you then have to go either unknown or scale it to a
Well,
best
not
feat.
necessarily. Like I said,
That's
you can.
why the orb does not. No, it does. That's what I shared earlier.
No, so look, take the
right?
whole vacuum
I
attack
shared
thing,
the
right?
exact
If it had the
statement
potential to be one of the
that
strongest,
if it's not
sorry, if it had
known
the
how
potential to be
much
the strongest
damage it will
attack,
inflict,
then it would have to at least.
I haven't finished the
It would
point.
have to at least scale to the whole like stuff. And like I said, that's consistent anyways because
I haven't
the
finished my point.
durability has to relate to it regardless. So you're not tackling that point. Sorry.
You haven't tackled my point
What's your
either.
point?
I'm saying that if you don't know the extent of the damage or the creation of the orb, it has to then be placed
do
as
know the
unknown
extent, though, right?
or scaled
We're
to
going
a
back to White
reasonable scale over feats. That's what it stated, right? And so the reasonable scale is what other feats she's managed to achieve, and the best feat that she's achieved is being relative to Hagoromo and Hamura, because they were able to eventually create a moon which would scale
That's
her.
not a contradiction.
And that's the extent of her or proven damage, because
It's
when
not,
she
because,
went to
look,
use the
you
orb,
haven't
she
even
never successfully pulled it off. You don't know how far the orb would expand.
Well, no,
It's an
if you-
assumption.
look, if you
It's not evidence based on a feat.
Look, even
And there's no statement
Okay.
stating how much it would
Look,
expand
dude,
by.
we've already seen the scan. It states that it was a start of a new time space, meaning it was going to consume all of our time space, right? It's the start of a new time space. It's going to
we
reset
don't
it.
know.
Within it,
We don't know how far the time space extends.
well, we see stars in it. Virtual time space.
No, we
Yes,
don't.
we do.
Not in this time space. Not in this orb panel. The ninja world, there was already stars prior to her using the ability. So you're suggesting that those stars were created as a result of this orb? Because it's not.
No, I'm saying.
How do you not know
You
that the
said-
stars were already in existence in the solar system?
It doesn't
prior
matter
to
if
her
it.
using the
Okay,
ability?
I can prove that anyway, but it doesn't even.
It's an
matter.
assumption. It's an
Look,
assumption.
Let me talk, dude. Okay, so look, if you have a dimension, right, and it's going to expand, especially the time space of it, right, and we see like it have stars and stuff, right, then it's going to consume all of it and reset the actual time space, right? And the thing is, it's not like it doesn't matter if the star was there or not, right? It's still consuming all of it, right? And it's still expanding to that.
No, it's
It
not
expands
proven to
to a degree,
have
right?
consumed more than a world.
Your body can
or
contain
even,
that,
even what's
right?
happening.
Then your durability scales. Simple. Sorry?
No, it doesn't, because you haven't proven that it scales to past the world that it's trying to influence.
Wait, why would it?
So
why would
I'm
it
talking
the
about
world if it's
this
the
orb
space
was
of her Kukon, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
of her
Kukon,
space, right? The actual time space of it.
okay.
Going back-
You wouldn't just
Going back to
affect the
what I
time space of
initially
that said
established
planet,
very long
right?
ago.
Because if you're assuming that the world is like a separate time space from the rest of the stars and stuff, you would have to prove that because that would be your claim, right? Which is a bit of a weird
No,
claim.
you had to prove that dimension or space meant that it was equal to a size that you're claiming,
Yeah, well,
such
it
as
is,
star,
like-
such as solar
Look,
system, or
Look at
whatever
time
it
space
was.
right now. If you're talking about the time space, right? Time space and space usually consumes like everything that you see like in the distance because it wouldn't be separated if the time space if there's two separate time spaces. Let's say it was a time space of just a planet or something, right? Then you wouldn't be able to see like where the like past it and stuff, right? And also you would have to kind of define what's separate. The logical assumption would be it would consume everything like you see, like the dimension, space, right? Unless it's like you'd have to like prove actual like differences between it and stuff, and there's none of that. So the logical entailment here would be include the star.
No, there is some proof that actually explain the extent of the orb as well.
Okay, go on.
Because we
Anyway, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I'm gonna give y'all 10 more minutes, bro.
Okay,
Yeah,
there's one other thing I want to
Stefan,
address,
with
right, with the
10 more
Hagoromo
minutes.
thing. He's bringing up like an anti-feat or something, but Hagoromo does this, right, virtually after he's beaten like Kaguya, right, and he's said to be the last of his power, meaning he's weakened anyway, so it wouldn't even be it's not even a full power feat, so there's no contradiction. And like I said, you can go off like statements and stuff, and the expand truth-seeking was stated to that it was going to consume the entire dimension and stuff, and it is consistent with the whole like.
But you haven't proved how big the dimension is. For all we know, it could
Okay,
be
no, you said you were
Rizlot
gonna.
level
You said you were
inside.
gonna give me like. I gave you like my definition. But you said you had like a counter. Maybe you said you knew the.
But I countered it.
You said you knew the
with
size or
this,
something.
stated that-
Okay, let's see. What is it?
and it says that you Hence, they must either be placed unknown or simply
Yeah, if you don't know
reasonable
the
to their
extent
best
of it,
feats.
if you don't know the extent,
No,
no
so
stars, then I wouldn't know.
I scaled her to her best feats because it's unknown the extent
Look,
of that orb.
I'll actually, because you're using Versus Wiki, right? Versus Wiki themselves consider like Kaguya's dimension to have stars within it. Hence, they actually accept that the expanding truth-seeking orb is like star level.
Can you prove that?
No, they do. If you go on their website, they do for that exact reason. So that means the actual no, because you're using Versus Battle's definition
From their website.
I'm using their definition.
They from what I understand, they didn't say that.
No, if you literally go on Kaguya's like profile, or be like the expanding truth-seeking orb is star level, and I'm saying the expanding truth-seeking orb.
No, they say that she does not scale from
No,
the orb.
okay.
Do you want me to share that as well from there? No, like I can share. Like if we're gonna use the wiki, let's use all of the wiki.
Okay,
Here we
dude.
go. This is what
No,
they
no,
stated.
We're not talking
No,
right
no,
now. We're talking
I'm
about
rebuttaling your point. This
We're
is
talking about
from
the
the
site.
same wiki, right? Hang on. It's from the same wiki. The attempts to make Kaguya scale to the expansive truth-seeking orb were rejected many times before. The primary reason is because this attack required an amount of chakra greater than her own.
No, I proved that she had all of his chakra originally, and she had to contain all of it. So
No,
that's
you
it.
didn't. You actually proved otherwise.
No, I
You
didn't.
said that
I didn't.
the chakra came from the tree
Yes,
because you shared a panel
all of it.
that said that the
You did.
tree
All the
was the
third
one that
chakra.
gave the chakra. You also
had all
proved
of it.
that the orb required shinobi sacrifices.
No, it's
And
'cause she
it
lost
took
it later
thousands
on.
of years
It
of prep
doesn't
time to use that. We don't use prep time unless if you state so in a
Then
versus
you
battle
need to-
that you're going to give prep time for a person
Because the
to
Kaguya
use their
I'm using,
ability.
right, is a full power Kaguya. Look, she had to contain.
You're using the full powered prep time
No, it's not prep
Kaguya
time.
that has an ability that's very
There's no prep.
specific to a certain situation.
Right, she had lost.
There is prep time. If she had never allowed thousands of years for that tree to grow and then eat the fruit of that tree, then she
Dude,
never
but she
would
made
have
that
had
her
power
power.
in the first place.
Look, like I said, you could process something. You could process like raw material and make like a weapon. You can make like a sword and stuff. But like its swing and stuff would scale to you and stuff, right? And that's what I'm saying here. I'm saying that it doesn't matter where it's from. If she's a parasite, whatever, because she inherently takes it in, right? And if she can contain it, it scales to her durability, and when you can use it.
It does matter where it's from
Stats.
because look, if you look at the actual
That's all I
orb
need.
panel itself, it
That's
says
all I.
it literally says that
And that's all I need.
in it from shinobi chakra extracted using the infinite Tsukiyomi, you will all become sacrifices. Meaning, in order to use the orb, she has to
Yes,
sacrifice
to
people.
her
She
chakra.
has to.
It was her.
She has to use all those kind of things because from her base chakra alone, she cannot perform this ability. You chakra on
Dude,
a
I
planet.
proved she had
that's
all.
very
She
strange,
ate all of the
like
chakra, but then
Momoshiki's planet. If
Kagura-
you chuck her on a planet like Momoshiki's planet and she tried to use the ability, she couldn't.
Kagurama
So that's
took-
why she doesn't scale. from
Kagurama
it.
took all of his chakra and stuff like afterward. That's why she had to regain all of it in the first place. So I'm saying that Kaguya right, has to scale
her
there because
basic-
look, she at one point she had
It
all.
doesn't because her basic casual attacks do not scale to
Okay,
the
look,
orb
I'll
at
prove
all.
why
She never was proven feat wise to actually inflict, let's say, universal or solar system or even star level damage using any of her other
Okay,
abilities.
all I have to do.
Except for this
easy,
particular
easy.
orb was probably the one that would be most likely to
Easy
do
stuff.
that much.
She contained all of his chakra in her body, right? And she was actually able to contain it to a degree that she didn't blow up, meaning it scales to her durability. And even if you use like the Newton's third law and stuff to be able to project this kind of KE, this kinetic energy, she needs to be able to resist the counter force of it, meaning that her durability scales. And we also know there's attacks that can be potentially stronger. If there's attacks that can be strong, right, and you're producing this kind of KE, that also proves that like she can resist the counter force. Like if you throw a punch, for example, right, you need to be able to tank that punch, right? And we're talking about the vacuum fist here. So now, if all of this stuff kind of proves that it scales to her like stats, right, then what actually happens is it scales to like her AP. Now, if her AP becomes that level, I've proven my point, and that she's above moon level. Easy.
But durability doesn't necessarily mean AP.
No, I'm not saying it. I'm saying if somebody cuts your durability, right? Somebody can cut through you or harm you, right? And scale to like wherever so their AP scales to your like durability, right? And they have that certain AP, right? And if she can swap hands with characters, do you want scans for that? And if she can swap hands like we know she swaps hands with like Hagoromo and stuff, right? Then she scales to it herself. And like I said, like there's other ways to prove it, like the whole punching analogy and stuff. And like if you're producing.
Well, she doesn't scale to it because she can't use this ability without what I said.
No, I'm saying
Like
no,
if you chucked her on this planet,
ability,
if you chucked her on this planet, she never would have used the ability ever.
no, it doesn't
If
matter.
you
because,
chucked her on Momoshiki's planet,
Kaguya-
there's
Kaguya-
nothing to drain.
the
There's
Kaguya,
nothing to use.
The Kaguya that had to use it, right, was the one who had to regain her chakra and then reset the time space of it.
Yeah, but it's not just regaining. It's gaining chakra beyond her own. What that means is there's
Okay,
a
look-
difference between
That's what I'm saying.
regaining and gaining beyond her own. She does not have
It is hers.
enough chakra to use the ability on her own.
No, because she
actually
she
has
contained
to.
all of it.
Stop cutting me off. She literally has to consistently drain chakra from Shinobi in order to maintain the ability. How we know that's proof is that when she got sealed, the orb immediately cancelled.
Because like,
whereas if she didn't need to be consistently feeding the orb chakra, then the orb would have stayed regardless of her being sealed away.
No.
But it didn't.
Look, listen. Now, PCM2 Naruto actually feels most of the Shinobi Alliance, right? And this is only with a fraction of his power. He can buff them all by 3 times Kakashi level, right? That's thousands of Kakashis, right? Not every ninja is even remotely near that level, because we know he scales to like, the Biju and stuff, right? So what's essentially happening here is, right, even Naruto himself has like a majority of his chakra and stuff, and she was easily able to like contend with a way stronger Naruto, a 6th Naruto later on, right? And this just kind of proves that she had like kind of like lost her chakra and she like regained the chakra afterwards, right? And now, if you have all of the chakra and you've like kind of gained it, it doesn't matter like how you're getting the chakra, whatever, right? If you've gained all the chakra and you can contain it, because it is stated that it relates to her stats. I think Zetsu states so, right? But it exponentially increases her stats, right? So that's just more evidence it kind of scales, right? If it scales to your durability, right? Because like, you know, you contain it, you don't explode, right? The whole like Newton's third law, right? And then people can harm you. It relates to your AP regardless. There's literally no way like around it. But what you're saying is you keep on like going back to this.
He was going to be affected by the ability that she's using, but she never actually was proven to like be harmed by her own ability. Like if you're going to throw a punch, right, the punch directly hurts your hand. Whereas when she throws this orb, she starts it far away from her, so it's not actually going to harm her.
Okay, no. Well, no, because
so she wouldn't scale the orb regardless.
I was using 2 different like analogies. One was to the vacuum fist thing.
But you gave the example of punching.
Yeah, but punching for the vacuum fist
makes
thing.
It scale to durability.
The punching thing relates to the vacuum fist thing where she punches. But other thing, right, relates to Newton's third law, projecting a certain amount of energy requires a counter force, right? If your body can like, you know, throw that kind of force, there needs to be a counter force.
Yeah, but there's no counter force if she's completely away from the start.
Because you say yourself, right, she's like reconstructing or using the energy that she already has. So if anything, you've helped me prove this. Because it's not like she's creating
No, I haven't. I didn't
it's
say
not bringing out thin air. She has to contain all of this, right? And then she has to project it. Now, if you can project it, there has to be a counter force.
I was saying that she was obtaining the chakra from
okay, like
places.
Her, you know, having all of the chakra, containing it, right? Shows it's going to
taking her
projecting it
chakra
also scales,
and then reconstructing.
And the whole like fist analogy, right, was related to a vacuum fist being stayed. Potentially, it could like become the strongest ability she has, meaning it would have to scale to the expanding truth signal.
It would scale the ability.
And that would scale to her punching force, obviously.
But it's not a punch. It's an orb that she's.
No, I'm talking about the vacuum
separately to her, so she's not getting damaged by it. It's not her durability.
Dude, that's a separate thing. I'm talking about the fist thing. But okay, even if you talk about the orb thing,
I'm talking about the fist thing too.
Oh, so you're talking about the vacuum fist thing? What about that? That's not an orb.
Yeah, but the vacuum fist thing is an ability that was just scaled off whoever she used it on, which are people that are weaker than her at this time. So it's relevant.
It doesn't matter. No,
but if you were to use the principle that when she uses the fist thing, it comes from her fist, right? So therefore, in order to use it without her fist going away
listed as a
and being hurt,
right?
Yeah, but in order for her to not be affected by her own abilities, she'd have to have enough durability.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But in this case, she's not actually using her fists, her body, or any part of her body that would be affected by the ability. The ability starts. I'm talking about the orb. The orb starts.
Okay, now see how we're talking about the orb. Okay, so we established the vacuum fist thing. Now the orb, right? Now I'm not using the fist analogy for that because that's different. I'm using the Newton's third law analogy rather for this one to project a certain.
And I'm saying that it doesn't scale because it's not.
But I think I've done. And also the Hagoromo thing is like anti-feat.
So y'all can fucking do your conclusions, man. Let's go to conclusion.
Okay, so essentially, I'm gonna break this down really simply. I think I won, and I think I stayed on topic as well. So he claimed that Kaguya was like moon level because like the best feat shown by Hagoromo, right, was like this moon level feat. But then I kind of proved that like Kaguya also has these like star level feats, and it relates to her, not just her durability, right, but to her actual AP because. You know, if you're able to like project a certain amount of energy, right, there needs to be counter force. You need to resist it. Also, use like the analogy, right? So you know, it scales to durability and AP, right? So now, if we have that right, then we can kind of prove that. Then we also beforehand we talked about like the actual size of a dimension and stuff, right? We kind of established in Kukan space and stuff, and that it contains a star and stuff, right? And the reason it is because like there's no differentiate like time spaces, and time space consuming what you see. Otherwise, they'll be really hard to prove otherwise. Like there'll have to be like some sort of like unnatural entailment. But anyways, going like along with that, so proving that it's star size, right, and the durability in AP, I proved that, right, and he was literally there's no way he could like rebuttal that, right. So now moving on, right, then he talked about the moon level stuff, and then I said that's not relative, right, because that other star level stuff, right, can still like prioritize in front of that, and the reason for that is, right, because the feat Hagoromo does, he was heavily weakened. Even in the scan he showed, it says like he did it after Kaguya's fight, and that he used the last of his power, right, alongside Hamura. So using the last of his power, so it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter how good that defeat is, right? He was weakened doing this, so it's not a contradiction or an anti-feat. Is what I'm trying to claim, and I think that's it. That's my closing statement. And I think I did more than enough.
All right, so the reason why I think that I won as well, and I did more than enough to disprove every one of your statements and go further and prove my points that they were actually more consistent with the story, was that there was a reliance on the title alone, and there wasn't any rebuttal from the manga or the anime proving that this particular ability was actually used to create a dimension. There was no physical evidence from a panel showing that, like, let's say Kaguya said, Ame no Minaka, here's the dimension. So he never established that. However, I did show evidence to show that it's a teleportation ability, and I further established it by actually reading the panel as opposed to just relying on the title. And the panel itself explains that it's teleportation. And then I also gave other examples that it's just name titles, and of Temari Universal and Kurama turns the world to ash, but those aren't necessarily factual statements unless proven by feats within the actual manga or the anime show itself. And there was a little bit of he established a point about space in the panel, but he actually translated the word incorrectly to mean dimension, and he never supported any evidence to suggest that it was dimension used in the panel. Therefore, we can further acknowledge that the panel itself was a mistranslation, and it should have been something else like space, as they did translate it for the orb to be in space. So we can assume that this isn't the most accurate translation, and therefore it's probably more leaning to the teleportation side of things than creation, because the only thing that proved that it was creating was the title, and the title itself has been proven to be flawed. And then we look at the ability itself. I clearly demonstrated that she can't use this ability without sacrifices, prep time, and an infinite Tsukiyomi, and many other requirements, and that her chakra was originally given to her from the divine tree, and that the divine tree itself was stated in the panel that he shared that it's the source of chakra, and it's the thing that allows people to obtain chakra. So that would not necessarily suggest that it was hers to start with. It's not all her chakra. And then lastly, that he agreed with me that the chakra would be going down, and we see characters go down at least. And I also established that chakra is not permanent with Kaguya, and I gave examples of Momoshiki as well as her. And so basically she can't use this ability, as we discussed in the wiki, that she doesn't scale from it because it's been rejected for the fact that she uses chakra far greater because of the prep time and all the abilities that she needs to use it than her own. So she can't use this ability whenever she wants. She can only do it under certain prep time conditions, and therefore she doesn't scale from the orb. She scales to her best feat, and because we haven't seen the extent of the damage of the orb, we know that it's unknown. Therefore it scales to her best feats, which would be Moon Plus, which was what I established before about Hagoromo and Hamura, and the fact that the two of them together were necessary to finish the feat. That would instantly counter the fact that Hagoromo did it with the last of his chakra, because he would never been able to do it without Hamura. So he still needed help in order to achieve that feat. 50%, or even, we don't know how much Hamura actually really helped, but all we know is that he never could have done it without Hamura. So the best that we can give him is Moon.
Alright, so y'all both done concluding.
Yeah, okay.
Like, y'all both done. Okay.
Well, am I allowed to say other stuff? Like,
no, I mean, don't really attack his conclusion. But do you think you properly concluded what you wanted to say? Don't bring up new points. Don't even.
Am I allowed to bring up points? Like, no, I mean, am I allowed to tackle like his conclusion? Like,
No.
Okay.
Okay. And by the way, Happy, I really don't want to give you the point at all because you definitely was just over talking the whole time. It's not okay. Yeah, it's not okay at all. But I mean, I can't. That's what I'm saying. I don't even want to give really a judgment to this because like y'all both debated good. Y'all both like rhetoric. Y'all both y'all shit was good. So I'm not gonna say no one won rhetoric. Y'all just still made each other. So I mean, I want to say yeah. I'm saying it comes down to like what happened. Do that also, but also we can like relook at it because I honestly
that's the system you think. So I was like,
yeah. So if you want to keep it consistent, we can do that too. But we can also like have people look over the recording and shit like that. I'll look over it too. But yeah, bro, it was even if I say like you won or he won, y'all like at the end of the day, I would still say
there might have to be a rematch or something.
Yeah, it had to be a rematch because like your rhetoric was on the same level and shit. And then the arguments are just like you're going back and forth. So I just say